Well,
Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Took a lot of tracking down, but I'm finally able to do a review of the Gamorrean Guard 6-inch Black Series, if you couldn't tell already. Let's head to that table and check this one out. A quick look at the packaging, and he does come, of course, in the red and black box as you see here. Star Wars Black Series logo up top, and through the front of the packaging you do see the Guard with the 3 included accessories, and below that, of course, the sketch artwork of the Gamorrean Guard with his name. On to the side, of course, no number because this is an exclusive. And on the back side, much of the same here. Nice large sketch artwork of the Gamorrean Guard, and then a brief description about the Gamorreans who are used as muscle by the Hutts and other underworld kingpins. And now taking a look at the Guard out of the packaging, and I know I say this for a lot of figures, but this is indeed, to me, an absolutely beautiful figure. One of my favorite figures from the 3 3/4 inch line is that vintage collection Gamorrean Guard. I love that they did the soft goods, what would you call it, the little cloth piece running around his waist. So for me, the fact that they did that here, and plus it is an amazing sculpt, amazing paint job to it. I think this just might be one of the best Black Series figures they've released in the line to date. Looking in on the head area, it's just a marvelous head sculpting job here with great paint applications to go along with it. Got a bit of blue in the eye area there, so it just really pops out. Some good use of browns around the snout and the mouth area. Great texturing detail in the face for the little wrinkles and folds in the skin of the Gamorrean Guard. And his mouth is indeed articulated, much like we had with a couple of the 3 3/4 inch figures. So if you have his head tilted up, you're going to be able to open that jaw nice and wide. And then if you have his head tilted all the way down, of course you cannot have the jaw open and tilted down at the same time. I'm glad that they did that option. Certainly give you a couple different good looks in there. And then even with that mouth open, you can see his tongue is a nice pink paint job to it. As it spins around, you're going to see his helmet that's on his head. And that is a separately sculpted piece, but glued on. So not removable. I'm quite okay with that. Paint job to that is looking fantastic also. The silver looks good, and especially this brown and black piece within the silver parts of the helmet just has a very nice paint job to it. And then running up behind the head through the neck, you can see this little brown cloth piece. I shouldn't say cloth, it's sculpted plastic, but you would see that it is a cloth piece if it were real. Looking down the arms of the Gamorrean Guard, he's got these 2 silver shoulder pieces. Very nice sculpting to that. It certainly looks like a piece of metal, if he was wearing it. So lots of just little kind of subtle hammered indents into that shoulder piece. And each of those are separately sculpted also. So one's on the shoulder of the figure and the other one is glued onto the arms of the figure itself. As far as the texturing of the arm, obviously you can see lots of muscle detailing sculpted in there. More subtle wrinkles, textures of skin sculpted in. And then each wrist does have these silver wrist gauntlets sculpted on there. Again, texturing and detailing to that sculpt is looking very nice as well. Through the chest area, it looks like this just heavy leather, I don't know if that would be a vest or a suit or whatever, but the browns, the dirt wash into there is looking really nice. I suppose if you want to complain, if you want to find fault, you could say that the little dots there on that center chest piece, there should be maybe some subtle silver painting in there or something. It seemed that way from what I saw in the movie. I feel like I'm reaching if I want to complain about that. It's for the amount of detail we're getting in the rest of the figure and the looks we're getting, I'm certainly not going to complain that, there's not a tiny bit of silver here on that middle piece. Otherwise, that black bandolier that you're seeing, nice texturing in the sculpting of that. It is a little hidden in my shot here from that fur sticking up, but there is a silver buckle painted in there, and then you can see 2 little silver grommets on each side of that. That bandolier piece is separately sculpted. I imagine, if you wanted to for whatever reason, you could probably try and pull it off. So it's not glued on in any way onto the figure. As it spins through the backside, of course, you're going to see much of the same for the outfit. That nice brown with some darker brown wash to it, maybe even black, but just great texturing into there. And of course here for that bandolier, you see another silver loop painted in there connecting all those straps together. And now through the waist area, you're going to see this nice use of soft goods for his little, I just don't know what to call it, little fur skirt. Little fur skirt. But anyways, is very soft, feels nice. And just plop this off the turntable real quick. What you're not seeing underneath this little fur skirt, as I like to call it, It's kind of got a, well, we'll call that a brown diaper. This is just a very soft piece of rubber or plastic. As you can see, the main joint underneath this piece is still the green body that the legs are actually into. You still see some of that brown, as you should, sticking out underneath this little fur piece. Just mentioning it, a little squishy in there. Anyways, though, getting it back on the turntable and looking at the lower parts of the figure, the rest of it is just his green legs. Great muscle definition sculpted in there, along with continued little skin details, little wrinkles and stuff within the skin. And then you got a great paint job for his gray sandals and those straps running around the legs. And as far as articulation of the figure, the head, as I already mentioned, because of that jaw movement, it does go up and down. And you get a little bit of side-to-side movement. Not that much. Things get pretty tight on the back side of the neck because of how high, or how low, I should say, his head sits within this brown jacket. No tilting side to side. At the shoulder area, almost going straight out. Not exactly, you know, straight 90 degrees, but that still seems like a pretty decent range to me. And then you're able to swivel the arm inside that joint. You know, if it's flush against the body, you're getting like so. And if you get it out just a little bit, then you're able to work around that upper shoulder armor piece. At the elbow area, of course, you can bring it straight out and then give them just above 90-degree bend in there. So pretty good range of motion with that. And then the arm does, of course, swivel side to side. And then within the wrist area for both hands, they swivel. And then each hand also does side to side for that wrist articulation. As far as the waist articulation, I think maybe he's ball socketed in there. You can kind of do a little wiggle like this. You can spin them all the way around. And then depending on how you wiggle it, you get some crunching backwards, a little bit forward, not that much. As for your leg articulation, you're going to get them to do the splits about like so. And the legs, not really all that much forward. And then just a little bit back, barely. Knee joint, though, is double socketed. Pretty good range of motion with that. And then at the foot area, you get your forward. You get a lot going back there, and then it does pivot around. And for his accessories, he does come with 3 of them. He's got 2 different axes, and then maybe, a vibroblade staff or something. First up, this larger axe. It has very nice sculpting to it. And I have to say that the plastic on each of these isn't as soft as generally what we receive. There's just a little more firmness to this than usual. Gray painting for the axe itself, for that metal area, and just a little bit of brown painted in there for some rust. Otherwise, you've got what would be a wooden handle, nice brown paint job to that. Maybe just like a subtle spray of gray coloring to it or something. Like it just, something about it seems like it might be just a little bit dirty. And as you can see, it does fit quite nicely in his hand. Both hands are sculpted to hold all 3 of these weapons, so you're not going to run into any problems there. And then onto his other axe, or I guess maybe more of a hatchet, kind of smaller looking. Anyways, definitely it's got its own unique look for that. Similar sculpting and paint job, the texturing to the plastic, and with the subtle kind of brown or rust colored painting along the edge of the blade. And still same brown handle for that. And then finally the staff that he comes with. You got some round sculpting at the bottom of the staff, little bits of handle grips on the shaft itself, and then when you get to the top end, a little bit of more roundness sculpted in there. And then as far as the top of the staff itself, really a nice sculpt going on there. Lots of detailing on the end of that. And again, a little bit of brown or some rust-colored paint in there. The tip of mine is just a tiny bit warped out of the packaging. Otherwise, the staff itself is pretty much straight. So that end, that little end there seems a bit softer than the rest of the plastic. It won't take much for that to bend back into place. But I will say that if you have this displayed out with him holding it at an angle, I do think over time, since this is so top heavy, it might start to sag on you. So that's something to keep in mind as you have it displayed. And as I mentioned, same as the other 2 weapons, this fits nicely in his hand. And also with the articulation of the figure, you're able to get a nice double-handed grip on the shaft of this staff. So overall, just a beautiful looking figure. I think Hasbro's just done a remarkable job with this one. Here he is next to the Black Series Jabba the Hutt. Little bit of scale representation there so you can see how he fits in next to him. And now I got to say, I hope we get a bib Fortuna. We let's start getting more of the creatures from Jabba's palace. And I know we got a Black Series Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker already. I kind of want one with a black robe. Again, fill out that scene more. I think that'd be pretty cool too. And so that wraps up this look at the Gamorrean Guard. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.